Today I spoke to the Kosovan President, Vjosa Osmani, and she began by telling me about how the distressing scenes from the war in Ukraine remind her of what took place in her country in the late 90s.
It absolutely is. What we see is exactly the kind of scenes that we had to see and go through back in 1998, 1999, when Kosovo and its people were victims of genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. And unfortunately, it's not like it's getting better. We not only show our solidarity with them, but at the same time, we're the very first country in the region to have joined sanctions of the European Union and sanctions from the United States in their entirety. And we are doing more by also being open to admitting refugees from Ukraine, as well as helping journalists from Ukraine. So we understand how difficult it is, but seeing the bravery and the persuasiveness of the people of Ukraine and its leadership, I am absolutely certain that Russia will collapse and Ukraine will win. They are pursuing this fight not only for themselves, but also for all the rest of us.
How do you think Kosovo is further threatened by what is going on in Ukraine? Russia, after all, was a key ally of Serbia.
Serbia has unfortunately chosen to stand with Russia by not imposing sanctions. This is obviously posing a threat to us in two aspects. One, there is growing concern in our region that Russia itself might try to cause tensions and conflicts in our region in order to divert and sort of divide the attention of NATO and the international community while the war in Ukraine is ongoing. And secondly, there might be efforts from Serbia as Russia's main ally and its only proxy in our region to create tensions in order to move ahead with their hegemonic policies that are surrounded around the notion of Greater Serbia. They have been using the Russian pattern for quite long, and at the same time, Vučić, the president of Serbia, is playing by Putin's playbook. So obviously the threat is there, but we are working closely with our partners. As you know, NATO is present here in Kosovo. So we're defended and protected not only by our own forces, both police as well as army, but also by the NATO presence in Kosovo.
But as you say, you have NATO troops guaranteeing your security. Do you really need to join NATO?
We absolutely need to join NATO. First of all, because we see NATO as well as the EU as two values-based systems that are not just, a military machine or a cash machine, but systems where the values which we as Kosovo share are to be found there, and where we can work with like-minded countries to protect peace, security, and move ahead towards more development and prosperity for our country. Because many people have said it before me, peace is not just the absence of war, but it's also the prosperity that you create for your citizens.
Ukrainians are saying, why can't NATO and the world do what it did for us that it did in Kosovo and intervene? And the reason is simply because NATO could intervene in Kosovo without fear of getting into a war with Russia. Do you think NATO needs to intervene here in Ukraine?
Our lives were saved from NATO, from the air. Our lives were saved precisely because of the NATO intervention. Obviously, we're not in NATO, but my honest opinion is that nothing should be ruled out from NATO in terms of coming to the aid of the Ukrainian people, because they have not provoked this war, because so much more than just Ukraine is at stake. Nevertheless, I do understand, as you rightly pointed out, that, and it is different now, fighting with the nuclear powers such as Russia. So while we do understand the arguments that are mentioned by NATO, I do hope that they will find a way to help Ukraine more.
President Osmani, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.